This is another awesome episode of Customizing the Clone Wars. I am your host, as always, Customizer, Peak Obi-Wan. And with me, I have my friend, Darth Daddy. How you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing well. Getting ready to talk Mystery of 1,000 Moons. This is like one of my favorite episodes. I don't know about you, but it was kind of quirky
Oh,
in
man.
a really fun way.
Yeah. I don't know if you watched the featurette. You can actually go to StarWars.com and they still have all the different featurettes on the Clone Wars on StarWars.com. So I watched it today, and Dave was talking about how it's the Jabba's Palace episode of the Clone Wars, where it's totally weird. It's totally crazy. You're getting weird aliens who are marooned on a different planet, and it's just fun. It's just one of those wacky things where the war meets the rest of the weird galaxy, right? Yeah. I love this episode as well. This was actually the one that got me customizing Clone Wars stuff. Folks, if you don't know, or if this is your first time seeing our show, this is a Google Hangout where we talk about the Clone Wars. We reminisce, we enjoy, and we celebrate that awesome animated show from 2008 to 2013. And we do a lot of awesome customs along the way. We just try to apply some of the characters that we may have missed, you know. So both Brian and I, we try to add as many characters as we can, and we also hope to give you insight into the show. You can catch it on Netflix, or you can catch it ultimately on DVD if you have it available. Are there other places where you can catch it right now?
I probably Amazon Instant Video.
Yeah.
That one for sure. I don't know anywhere else. If they want us to promote their product that hard, they better fill us in.
Get us paid, right? Get us paid. Yeah, folks, we're just doing.
We're going above and beyond as it is.
Yeah, we're just fans, folks. We're not professional podcasters. We're just learning this as we go. We provide our insights, and we're just artists basically, and we're customizing. Like I said, customizing the Clone Wars. So we are deep into season 1, and we're going in order based on how the episodes are on season by season. So we are on episode 18, and episode 18 is Mystery of 1,000 Moons. And I'm going to read a little blurb about the episode in the awesome episode guide that I have available, and that's from DK Publishing. I got that a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. No, actually it was Barnes & Noble, but yeah. Anyway, so here goes. Mystery of 1,000 Moons. A droid releases the blue shadow virus, exposing Padme, Ahsoka, and several clone troopers within Vindi's lab to the deadly disease. Anakin and Obi-Wan race to the planet Iego in search of the antidote, Rixarut. There they find another trapped population, this one made up of marooned travelers who believe a destructive spirit kills all who try to escape. That is Mystery of 1,000 Moons. Awesome, awesome episode. Last week, on episode 10, we talked about the blue shadow virus, and we just kind of want to give you a recap this week. We thought maybe it would be good if we just kind of went back.
Same part of the arc.
Right. Yeah, it's a 2-episode arc, and it goes along with the blue shadow virus. So we thought that we would show some of those characters as well. And I will pull up a couple of those right now. I think. Hold on a minute. um, let's see here. All right. Oh,
Okay.
you got somebody available. Tell us about this guy.
All right. So one of the big things that they had said last week was that Typho was just being introduced to the show for the first time, and he was a new asset. And it was an interesting episode because there was a few of new assets, but it was pretty cool that they introduced Captain Typho, who was a character from the prequel films.
That's
This
awesome.
one was just made using, there was a Naboo fighter that came with an Anakin action figure, and basically it's just a quick head swap. I think I cut the head off of one of the Attack of the Clones Typho. I drilled a hole in the bottom, and I just popped it right on top of the head after I popped the Anakin one off, and gave the Typho the blaster and the helmet from the original figure, and yeah, it pretty much worked out. And this is the ship right here, I guess, that
Yeah, it's
one
kind
of the
of
cooler mini rigs.
a
And
little
that
mini
thing
rig
came
right
with that.
there.
Yeah, it had just a little cockpit you could fit a figure in, and it was one of the cooler toys that came out from the line.
Yeah, I love that figure. I really do. That's a sharp figure you got there. I also did that figure as well.
Yeah, we got
Utilizing
the idea from you.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure lots of customizers share different ideas with each other, and that figure definitely turned out great. For being just a kind of a, would you say, a simple head swap. You did have to remove the neck, right?
Yeah, it was just
Yeah,
a simple head swap.
yeah.
That's
But it
good if you're like
looks
a beginner and you're afraid to paint on a figure. You don't even have paints. That's
right,
one you can do without even having any.
and
And
those
if
are
you want to
great.
paint it, you can make it look really good, like Chad's does.
Yeah. Yeah, kit bashing. Kit bashing, if you don't know what it is, you can ultimately just pop different parts on and whatnot. I made a character like that today, but he's not necessarily a Clone Wars character. We're going to primarily talk about Clone Wars figures on the show. So let's get into the episode right off the bat. How about we discuss the fortune cookie? And that is a single chance is a galaxy of hope. That sounds kind of familiar, doesn't it?
Single chance, like a New Hope.
No, not necessarily. Kind of similar to that saying that Bail Organa said on Rebels. It was something about filled with a galaxy of hope, or I can't recall, but it was definitely on one of the Rebels episodes. But anyway,
Probably the one with the two droids with R2 and C3PO.
yeah. What do you think of that? What do you think of that fortune cookie?
Oh, I think being in the president always offers plenty of opportunities to create whatever we need to create.
Yeah, yeah. That's definitely true. That's very true. All right. So we're going to get into this episode. So here we have Obi-Wan and Anakin, and they have captured Dr. Nuvo Vindi. And you look at Obi-Wan's face, and he's basically saying, well, just another day saving the galaxy again.
Yeah.
They always have some kind of funny saying and whatnot. Witty banner that they're always, rocking back and forth. You know what I'm saying? So here is one of my customs I did last week, and we did discuss this guy last week. His name is Dr. Nuvo Vindi. He is just probably one of the best villains. He harkens back to like a mad scientist, but also one of those 1930s kind of, crazy villains. He has all the funny sayings like "you're doomed" and eradicated.
With great emotion, you're doomed.
Yeah, right. Man, he's so awesome. He's so awesome, and this
was cool when you told me that his neck was made from a leg.
right.
Wow, that was an awesome idea.
I definitely Frankenstein them together. If you're getting into customizing, there's different levels, of course. You just got to work at it. I utilize legs sometimes for necks. If you can see right in there, that was a leg that I basically grinded down. I added the ball to the top of the neck and then applied that head. Man, I'll tell you, I'm so glad they stuck to the ball and peg head. I'm really glad they did that.
Yeah.
So, in the toy line and whatnot.
It's funny, yeah.
Yeah, it gives a better range of motion. You're going to hear me say better range of motion all the time. So here we are back at the lab, and we have the Bomb Squad clone, and he's basically stating that there's one of the viruses is missing. So here we have my Bomb Squad clone, and this is prior to them making it. I basically just did a repaint on one of the existing clone troopers, and I actually gave him a removable helmet because the character doesn't exist without a removable helmet. So so there he is, and I borrowed that name. Do you recognize that name?
Yeah, sure, Fuse.
Yeah, I borrowed that from G.I. Joe because I thought it would be good for a Bomb Squad guy because he's.
What did you make the pliers out of?
Just bits of plastic. The handles were off of one of the guns from the. Is it called the tripod droid or the smaller version of the tri-droid? I think is what it's called.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Yeah. So there's this little piece where that's on the gun, and the handles were from that, but the blade of the pliers is just bits of plastic cut into pieces and just repainted. So there we have that. I was a bit of
the bomb too.
Yeah. I really love the bomb. I'd like to remake the bomb at some point with some of the new techniques that I use. I feel that I've gotten better over time. Just you're always going to get better as you go, especially if you repeat a project that you've done in the past. Yeah, I do that quite a bit because I don't mold and cast, so I just do everything pretty much from scratch. So if somebody wants something new and different, I do take commissions also. If you're interested in doing just basically Star Wars commissions, you can find me on my Facebook page, which is Peak Obi-Wan Custom Creations, and I do commissions there in the Star Wars universe. So back to what we were talking about. So
yeah, I had started one of those bombs, and I don't know what I did with it at this point. But I actually have the intention of molding and casting it at some point.
Yeah, they're teeny little things,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind though. I mean, it's something I'd like to have, and I want to make the pliers. After seeing yours that time, I've always kind of wanted to do that and make a little accessory set. That would have been a cool accessory set.
Yeah, and Sideshow too. I mean, look at Sideshow. I don't collect the Sideshow myself yet. Just look at, they gave us a bomb. They gave us everything we needed, didn't they?
Yeah.
They gave you the pliers, they gave you the bomb, they gave you the backpack.
Yep.
I don't think they gave you anything else. I don't think
that works.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Right. Yeah. So moving on, let's go back to the episode. So they realized that there is some of the blue shadow virus is missing. It's like a little pill bottle worth of weaponized contagion, if you will. They're going into, what is it called, chemical warfare, right?
Yeah.
So they sound the alarm, that cool little symbol, and they're looking for this bunny bot. And we actually shared a bunny bot last episode as well. But So Vindi finds out about this, and this is one of those times where he finds those lines, and he's like, "You are doomed, young Jedi," or something like that. It's just so awesome. So here's my Obi-Wan again. This is another character that I showed in a previous episode. I applied little elements here and there, like the lightsaber on the belt, and I actually gave him a new head. And how we go about that from time to time is we remove the neck, and we apply a new neck, better fitting neck that supports the post and the head. All right. So there's our bunny bot.
It's always good to stand both surfaces before you glue them down too. I like. Do you find that as well for like better adhesion if you sand the bottom and the top?
Yeah. And harder plastics too, folks. Like the key joint within a shoulder element, they're made of a lot denser plastic. It's called PVC. So it doesn't take the paint very well. So you're ultimately forced to shave it down a little bit. It's always good to get a little bit more. What would you say? A scratched surface, so that the paint or the glue can kind of seep into the pores and whatnot. Yeah. All right, so here we have the bunny bot, and I love this picture because he's like, I'm just gonna push this button right now. He like popped the virus in there and pushes the button, and there it goes, boom. You know, it blows up, and this weaponized contagion is loose. And once they realize this, they're all in danger down there, and they have Vindi up top, and he's like, I didn't make an antidote. You know, I didn't make a cure for it. The separatists just paid me to make the virus. So they're kind of in between a rock and a hard place, you know. And then here we have an image of the planet where the antidote is located, and it is a planet called Iego, and it is the planet of 1,000 moons. Where have we heard that Iego before?
Phantom Menace.
Yeah. I have an image coming up in a few minutes. There's just a lot of connective tissue in these two episodes with the Phantom Menace, don't you think? I mean, just
the character Jaybo Hood in itself is reminiscent of a young Anakin working in Watto's.
Yeah, I hear you. You know, they're using that character a lot. That archetype, that type of character, don't you think? Ezra feels like that character.
Very much so.
What was Snap Wexley's name in that Aftermath book? What was his name?
I know.
It
was just like something quick, like a syllable, right?
Yeah, he called himself something. But you're seeing that Jaybo archetype. It's kind of like a young kid that's good with mechanics, who is very world conscious, I guess. Yeah. Like he knows his element.
More in line with the Force than others, maybe.
Yeah, I always thought that if they were going to make an Ezra character, they should have used Jaybo.
Oh, I know, right?
Later on down the road. Like maybe they were just too busy, these Jedi, right? We'll get into it here in a minute about how they have to go to this planet, but maybe they were just too busy to see that this kid probably has the Force.
Oh yeah, we know. I would say in this episode, Anakin was more off his game than most. He was like tunnel vision.
Right. Oh,
the emotions were getting the best of him. Obi-Wan was at the point of being like, "Yo, what's going on?
What's wrong with this guy?"
Like,
Anakin is focused. So
Yeah, he
here
was
we
almost
have,
showing his hands in the pad base. You know, he was showing his
yeah,
cards when
yeah,
that pad
he
base
was,
situation rolled around. He was
yeah,
definitely a little too loose-lipped in that department.
right. So our guy, Typho, who Darth Daddy showed in the early part of the episode, he realizes that there is an antidote. It's called Rixa root, and it is on the planet Iego. And there's my version of Typho. Like you said, I just did a repaint, but I pretty much did the same thing you did. I just swapped the head out, and that was a different head of the Typho. That was the
Yeah.
what was that collection called?
The Legacy Collection.
The Legacy Collection. I just figured as long as there was a Typho head available, I'm making this character. So there he is. And guess what time it is? It's Easter egg time. So here we have Anakin and Obi-Wan. They jump in the ship because Anakin is focused, right? And we find them, hovering above Iego, the planet of 1,000 moons. What is odd about this image? Do you see anything
Body
in that?
floating in space.
You are right, sir. You are right. Look at that. There is a body floating in space.
Is that like a Nikto from Jabba's?
It sure is. It sure is. And I actually made that character, so I thought I'd show him
Nice.
right now. This was a Toys R Us exclusive that you could get, but he didn't have any leg articulation. So what I did with this one is he's just a basic repaint, and then he has that soft goods element that you see there. And I applied some articulation in his knees. So he's just a little bit more interesting.
What did you use for that staff?
That's the same staff. That is that's just a staff from the skiff guards from way back in 1997.
Oh, that 3-pack?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yep. I just figured I'd give him a cool staff. But I thought that was fun that he was floating in the debris and whatnot. And
Oh yeah, me too. We actually had a chuckle about that this afternoon here at home.
I thought that was so funny. I was just like, is that a person?
Yeah. I was like, wow, that's pretty. We were like, wow, that's pretty dark.
Yeah. It went dark a lot of times. So here is this awesome planet of Iego, and look at that. I think Dave Filoni described these as salt pillars coming up from the surface of the planet, and the inhabitants are jutting out from the salt pillars. So that is the awesome Twilight, of course. We showed a custom of that many episodes ago in episode 1, and that was amazing. So they land on this planet only to be greeted by many battle droids. And there was something funny about them, wasn't there?
Oh man, I saw you have the one over all the way to the left with the mustache coming out. Then I saw one with glasses on that he painted glasses on.
Yeah.
They have some really funny ones in there.
Yeah.
It's a great scene.
Yeah. So it turns out that these are all repurposed battle droids, and not a single one of them has a firearm. And they're just walking towards Anakin and Obi-Wan, and right away, yeah, here comes Anakin, and he just cuts down about 18 of them, and Obi-Wan, once again with his lines, he's like, "You succeeded in destroying 18 battle droids, defenseless battle droids, and they're all friendly and everything." And then it turns out we meet their creator, Mr. Jaybo, our guy who we believe quite possibly could have the Force. I think he does. I think he's so cool.
He's a whiz kid, for sure.
He's a whiz kid. This was what they wanted Anakin to be like in episode 1 in the Phantom Menace, but
Yeah.
He didn't quite turn out, did he?
No, like I would definitely say that Jaybo was like pulled it off better than Jake Lloyd, maybe.
For sure, for sure. Who knows how old that kid was when he performed this?
Well, I think Jaybo just has a maturity that Anakin didn't.
Right, he's definitely not 9 years old.
He's got a couple more years on him,
Right, he's probably a teenager. I would say, right?
Yeah, 15 maybe.
Yeah. He's a little Ezra or something.
Yeah, definitely.
And I love this line that he says right here. He's like, how long it took me to reprogram those droids? 9 months, man. 9 months. That's my.
He reminded me of like Corey Feldman.
It's my favorite line. It's my favorite line. I love it. I say that all the time jokingly. I'm like, 9 months, man. He's definitely a carefree kind of a guy, and that brings us to our next custom. This is a custom show, and this was done in 2010, and this is my first rendition of Jaybo Hood and repurposed battle droid, and there he is holding a battle droid head and everything, getting ready to say 9 months, man. And he's got his control and everything, and you actually own this character, don't you?
I own both of them.
Yeah, they turned out pretty cool. What do you think?
Oh yeah. It's awesome. It's right up in the front on the shelf.
Yeah. So if you were just a average customizer, what would you say I made that character out of, or who would you say? Usually we make characters out of existing characters, so I'm assuming you would say that character was made out of whom?
Boba Fett, Clone Wars.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So we as customizers, we try to utilize characters that exist in the show. So this is a Boba Fett character, and what I did was I just changed some of the elements on the character. He was basically in a jumpsuit, kind of a grayish jumpsuit. I guess the idea was that he was a precursor to what he was going to look like when he becomes the Boba Fett that we all love, right? So what I did is I changed some of the elements. I repainted him, of course, changed his hair quite a bit, and then added the straps and whatnot. And then with the repurposed battle droid, that was a total repaint. Just all I did was repaint him. I love his smile. It's hilarious. He's kind of a grin, kind of a mean little smile, devious almost, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, awesome. And here is that picture. We discussed this picture. This awesome piece of photography was taken by none other than Darth Daddy. And
it's out of focus though. It's not that great of photography.
Yeah, I liked it. I like your.
Jaybo looks good though.
What is that background there that you use?
Oh, it's just gray foam board. I bought it at Hobby Lobby.
Oh, cool. I just use cardboard for mine. When you see pictures of my stuff where it's blue, blue in the background, that was a sheet. I used to use just basically a colored sheet, but it would always show wrinkles. And I was like, I have to change this up a little bit. I don't know how deep you folks want to go. Like if you want to, really take nice pictures and stuff. I mean, cardboard or foam board or flat surfaces that hardly have any defects in it. That's definitely the way to go for a backdrop. So this picture, I just thought it was great because there's nothing in the background. All the focus is right on the characters.
On the figures.
Yeah. And I just applied a little effects. I have a graphic design background, so I just threw some Photoshop in there.
I wish I knew how to do that. that would up my game so much.
Well, you got to get the program first there, sir.
I know.
All right. Well, let's move on here. So here's Jaybo. He just being carefree. He just throws down the head, and he jumps up.
This is a set I wish Hasbro put out, where you had the hammock and like 2 Volta droids, put a little Jaybo in there, and a couple of repurposed battle droids.
Yeah. Look at that battle droid with the feather duster.
I know.
He's like, oh, I gotta fan this guy.
I got to get that. I have to make one of those fans for Jawa and Jabba's. I've been wanting to do that for a long time.
Right.
But that's what that reminds me of.
Right. And folks, I don't have a picture of it, but I just thought maybe I could hold them up. If you have any of the battle droids, this is just 2 different types of battle droid, where I pulled the body apart. I pull the legs apart and whatnot. See, they can just come apart. And
very easily.
Yeah, and if you want to make some repurposed battle droids, that's a way to do it. There's another one. It's just different renditions of the character. Only I just remove their joints and their legs and stuff, and just pop them on different things. Voila! Yeah, exactly. So there's our repurposed battle droids. So we move on, and we see that he has different types of purposes for them. One has a radio on his head.
That was my favorite. I love that one.
That is a really cool one too, and I actually made that one also.
Yeah.
But before I go on, I'm going to talk about Jaybo a little bit more. And there he is. There he is with the radio droid. I don't know. What do you think of that radio droid?
I loved it enough to buy it.
Yeah. Oh man, I love that he looks like he has tusks. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The back of the battle droid head looks like tusks almost. The way they painted it up. Some of their decaling is just so cool in these animated shows. So since I sold the Jaybo to you, I felt I missed Jaybo terribly. Like I said in the beginning of our episode here, this was one of the characters that really made me want to do Clone Wars customs. Really got me into it because he just looked so different and so cool and so unique, that I thought I'd make another rendition of him. And like I said, I make everything from scratch. So
yeah,
he turned out a little bit different. And there's elements and stuff that I like about each of them.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yes, I feel the same.
Yeah. There's pluses and minuses, and you just move on as you customize. You grow as you customize, don't you?
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So there he is. There's a couple more of him, and basically he tells them that they're trapped on this planet with them, and he's like, "You're not going to get by Droll," and they're like, "Droll? What's Droll?" And he's like, "He's the Phantom Ruler of Iego," and they're like, "Well, what the heck is going on here?"
And he's like, "Go talk to Amit Noloff."
Yeah. But basically, they're on a mission, and because Anakin's so driven, all he can think about, all he really cares about, is finding this route, this Reeksa route or whatever. So Jaybo tells them where this Reeksa route is, and they start climbing down these salt pillars. And Jaybo's like, "Oh, I'm not going down there. There's like Venus flytraps, plants with big teeth, and there's also flying Zandu. You want to watch out for those." And that's what this thing is here that I'm screen capping. It's just kind of a bad creature. And Obi-Wan and Anakin end up flying this thing down to where they need to go. Meanwhile, we have battle droids and such trying to break out of the lab that was, that blew up, that was poisoned with the blue shadow virus, right? And everybody down there ends up ultimately getting poisoned. But before we go into that, I wanted to show this picture because look at that crazy Saw thing, right?
Yeah, I dig that. I was trying to get a really good look at it, and
Yeah.
you don't ever see the whole thing.
Right, I know, but I thought it was kind of funny because
It reminds me of Buzzer from G.I. Joe, the Dreadnought that had the
right,
diamond tooth chainsaw.
yeah. Look at this terrible thing. Do you know where this comes from? I gotta make fun of
Oh, The
this a
Force
little bit.
Awakens. Build the
Yes,
weapons.
this is
Yeah.
one of the Force Awakens build-a-weapons that they put out in 2016. 2016, man, and this is what you get. But hey, if you want to use this thing, this looks as close to that image as possible, right? A quick fix, if you don't want to go and make
Something.
make something. You could ultimately use that thing if you have it available. There's always accessories that you can utilize from the past, present, or future that make your characters unique
To enhance your play.
Yeah, enhance your play, enhance your collection. If you don't play with your toys anymore, there's always ways to make your collection unique. It's kind of my
Look at everybody all infected, trying to save the world.
Yeah. And
there's
who's
Jar
back
Jar.
there untouched,
Unscathed.
with his
Well, you
Sith
gotta
eyes,
figure.
right?
I don't know. You got to think that Palpatine probably knows about this place. And he's like, oh, crap, it's been discovered. I'm sending in my top secret agent, Jar Jar Binks,
Oh,
to make sure this is all taken care of. So Jar Jar goes in there, practically shoots Ahsoka. Padme's like, what the hell are you doing? You're going to shoot Ahsoka. She jumps on her. Jar Jar's like, yeah. Rips her hose. Just be like, oh, you're all contaminated. Even if you don't care, even if you take care of the droids, all I have to do is walk out of here in my suit.
wow.
I don't know, man.
Wow. That just went right over my head. And folks, if you don't know what we're talking about,
Jar Jar Binks is a Sith.
Jar Jar Binks is a Sith. There was a couple episodes back where Darth Daddy was discussing how who was the person that did it? Just somebody went in and did this whole breakdown of why.
It was more than one person, actually. It was like it caught wildfire. I saw maybe 3 or 4 different podcasters do like episodes about this.
Yeah, and man, this guy, the video that I watched definitely had me convinced, but that was about it. That was about it. I want to believe that Jar Jar is still the innocent. I feel like he's the innocent.
No, man. All right, all you have to do is watch the last arc with him and Mace Windu.
Yes, yeah.
Jar's not only throwing punches, he's landing punches.
Yeah.
He's like more smooth and suave when he's around his girl.
Yeah.
I think you're seeing that's the first time you're seeing the real Jar Jar, and I think it's because he wanted to show off in front of Mace Windu because I think he was like, I can hold my own with Mace Windu, and that was the one time he maybe let his true self shine through.
Yeah. Wow. Well, okay.
Chasing people down in that one. Chasing people down.
Yeah. Well, let's move it on. Oh, and don't mind the pops in the background, folks, if you're hearing it. It is July 3rd.
Yeah, I got fireworks.
There could be fireworks. There could be fireworks going on. So we're having a good time. We're celebrating our independence, and we're also celebrating the Clone Wars. So here we have a Rex, and I've shown this previous. I just utilized the what would you call that? The second version, or the second body type of the Clone Trooper to build this character. And this is before we got the jetpack Rex, so I just kind of utilized a different body type to make yet another Rex. So here we are back in kind of the lower levels, the lower salt flats of Aigo, and here we have Jedis doing what they always do, and whenever trouble arises, they pull out their lightsabers. But I thought it was funny this time. Instead of pulling out his lightsaber, Anakin pulls out this shovel. He's like, I'm going to get this. I'm going to get this route in just enough time to get out of here. So that's why I put that picture in there. And here we have just
Little Shop of Horrors.
Yep, Little Shop of Horrors. Jaybo just called them plants, basically, and with huge teeth. And this is kind of the weird of Star Wars. I like this kind of thing where they apply kind of oddball stuff. You know, we see Venus flytraps, we see undead zombies coming up. We see all kinds of crazy things that I really appreciate, you know, about this show. That's what made this show awesome. Was
fun.
These left turns that they took, all these weird angles that they played out, everything. So once they finally get the route, now they have that solved, and they want to get out of there. And Jaybo keeps telling them about this ghost, this phantom up in the sky. And they're walking past these cargo crates, and I'm assuming this is all Emmett Noloff has left. So I'm assuming he just lives in these boxes. And they're walking by, and because it said that it was a trapped population and marooned travelers. I'm guessing that's all his stuff there. So this is
he seems to have a one-track mind. I'd find it difficult for him to ever get a job. He's consumed with the ghost.
Yeah, I don't think they do anything anyway. You know, with Jaybo jumping in his hammock and just sitting around listening to music all the time. They have nothing to do. I'm glad they just have enough to sustain them or something on this planet, because I think they've been here a while. At least 9 months, right? They've been there at least 9 months. So so this is Emmett Noloff is his name, Emmett Noloff, and he is a Quarren, and he is another one of our customs that we like to talk about. And this is my first rendition of Emmett Noloff. And man, I think I did this in 2011. And I utilized, do you know what body I utilized there? At least on the torso?
Not offhand.
Yeah, it was a
torso.
It was a Brainiac, from the Cantina.
Wow.
That guy was so awesome. You know, all the different Cantina patrons, and they definitely had the full range of motion. I didn't necessarily have to apply hard sculpting or types of sculpting that we would ultimately utilize for this character as much as the next version of him. I do have 2 versions of this guy. So most of this stuff was applied just to the body, like the fur that I have here. I kind of made this one like a hybrid, not as close as my next one, but the pants were awesome. They were awesome. He had these oh man, just like this cool pattern on his pants. It's just so amazing. His outfit is just off the wall. Don't you
Very
think?
detailed.
Yeah. So this is kind of my second attempt at this guy. And I did utilize the same character. I just decided to, if I'm going to keep a recipe for customs, I'm going to try to utilize the same stuff. And the head is a Tessic head, a Tessic from Return of the Jedi. And there he is. This was my next rendition, maybe a little bit closer to the cartoon, for sure. And this had a little bit more of the hard sculpting. When I say hard sculpting, folks, I'm basically applying a piece of plastic over the character, and I'm sculpting it or dremeling it down. We utilize Dremels in our craft, in our hobby. Definitely a good thing to have because it can help you cut through the figure. If you don't always want to use an X-Acto knife, it helps. It can help you grind and shave down different types of things. And there we have Emmett Noloff. So let's move on a little bit here. And do you notice this here? This is Emmett saying that you know, the curse is real, that that they're all cursed. And here we have a character that they call Taquito. And this was the same asset that they used for Salud from the what was the Rhodian episode called that we did? That was that the bomb? Was that
Jedi, right?
Yeah, Bomb Bad Jedi. So he was basically an assistant to the administrator, but they just changed his name and they put him in this little Star Trek chair. I like his chair. It was hilarious. So we see him get blown up, and they basically explain that every ship that goes out in space gets blown up. So they're doomed. They're not going to really be able to leave, and they're not going to get back in time to save everybody who's poisoned. There was already characters dying. Some of the clone troopers were starting to buy it. So they go and they attempt to leave regardless. And Jaybo's just amused. And here he is with his macro binoculars, and he's got his little handset and everything. I made that a couple different times. Always got to enjoy the accessories, right?
Oh, yeah.
And there he is again with that little accessory. I love that little radio. I think I have a little picture in there too. But here, check that out. What do you think of that? It's like the dish from the Death Star. You know?
Oh yeah, it definitely has a Death Star look to it.
Yeah, and we've discussed in the past how we see pieces of the Death Star starting to kind of creep into this show, where in Attack of the Clones, we saw the plans for the Death Star. And then we also see little elements. We see like the Malevolence, and it had its ion weapon. We see this, and this is the giant dish, you know, the dish that applies the different things. We even go in as far as kyber crystals to, you know, power the super laser eventually.
Wasn't there even a scene where there was something that replicated the detention level of the Death Star where Princess Leia was going to be kept?
Yep, the Citadel. The Citadel. We're going to get into that too.
You saw the camera. You saw like the cameras on the wall, and it was reminiscent of that scene where Han Solo's like, "We're just fine here. Everything's okay. Situation."
Situation normal. Oh, that's one of my favorite ones too. I love that kind of all that hilarity that ensues and that thing. We'll definitely get into the Citadel, the map or the connective tissue of the Death Star. You see little elements of the Death Star creeping into this episode. So this is the Phantom Ruler of Iego, and it's just kind of, they basically call it a laser field. And it acts as a net to trap every ship, and everybody ends up blowing up. So because they're Jedi, they can fly around it, but they can't fly through it, but they can fly around it enough to get back to the rest of the people. And look who's walking up behind Jaybo. There's Taquito. They just got done talking. They just got done talking about how they lost to Keto, and there he is.
Yeah.
I love when they do that.
Happy ending.
I love when they do that. Everything's fine here. Everything's fine. Yeah. But, did you see all those Ithorians on there? I thought that maybe Aigo is close to, it's called Ithor, where the Ithorians are from. But I went to my Star Wars, what is that? The Force Awakens visual guide, and it has kind of a map in the front. And I was actually surprised. There were some of the Clone Wars worlds
pictured there,
pictured on that map, but not Aigo, unfortunately. So I'm just saying it's near I4.
Yeah.
Mainly because of all of those Ithorians. Look at all of those guys. There's so many of them hanging out, and that is going to lead me to my next custom that I'd like to show. And I don't actually have it on the screen. I actually have it here because it's in progress. It's basically a whip. Okay. So I'll hold him up there. And this is he's huge. He's definitely huge.
So cool.
Yeah, if I could put him next to the battle droid, he's huge.
Wow.
Yeah. And
that looks great.
Yeah, thanks. I just utilized a lot of elements from Hammerhead, Momal Nadan, the Cantina patron. That's one of the things that's really great about Dave Filoni. He took the Cantina and he's like, I'm gonna fill the galaxy of the Clone Wars with Cantina aliens, familiar people from the original trilogy. I just thought that was such a good idea, didn't you?
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Yeah. So there's my rendition of possibly a Ithorian that could be on that planet. This is actually going to be a bounty hunter from season 4, Anka, and you'll see as we get into that. This is my second rendition of that character. I've actually done him once before, and like I said, I just utilized a bunch of different things for this character. Mainly Ithorian parts. The torso in the center is, oh gosh, I can't even remember. It's one of those dragon guys, How to Train Your Dragon.
How to Train Your Dragon.
Yeah, I mean, you can utilize other parts for your customs, but if you want them to really look like a Star Wars character, you might want to try to hide it or mask it the best way you can. Like with G.I. Joe parts, right? Everybody wants to use the G.I. Joe parts because they got so much range of motion, right?
Yeah.
They're very interesting to use, right? So, but I try to hide them whenever I can. It's all in your preference, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. So I'm going to go back to the episode. We're almost done here. And we see yet another Nick 2 in there, and Emmett Noloff's in there amongst all these people. And they see that they have to come back, so they're landing again. And I have a little Nick 2 guy that I've already shared at one point. I'll show him here in a minute. But before we do, we have a new character that emerges. And they were basically saying what was going on here before the Separatists put in this device to keep them on this planet. And they were saying that there were these angels, and you had said that in the beginning of the show that this harkened back to Phantom Menace, where a 9-year-old boy is basically picking up on some random girl in a junk shop. He basically goes, "Are you an angel?" And we have that going on right here. I thought I'd show this screenshot, but this kid's he's just polishing his little device that he has right there. And he's like, "Hey, you're an angel, aren't you?" He's like, they live on the moons of Diego. And she basically explained, you know, she's like, how'd you get so smart? You know, she's like, you're only 9 years old, you know? And so basically, somebody had walked through Watto's shop and discussed that they've been to Iego.
Pirates. I heard from Deep Space Pirates that they're the most beautiful things in the galaxy.
Yeah,
right. You're really, that's what she said. You're funny, or I don't know.
You're funny, but yeah. She's like, oh, she probably should have said, oh, brother. They start young here.
Yeah, slow down there.
Yeah, slow down there, champ. Yeah, but you're right. I think Jaybo pulled it off a little bit better than this kid.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely.
But Jaybo was essentially inspired by this Anakin Skywalker. And, you know, Anakin and this kid, actually, Jaybo, they talk a little bit about how he did that macro protocol to wipe all their minds at once, the repurposed battle droids. I'll tell you, I got a funny story real quick. This picture here that I'm showing, I was watching this whenever this episode aired, way back in 2008, and my gal was sitting next to me, and she was kind of nodding off and sleeping a little bit. And I was like, oh, look, Ahsoka just ate it. She's dead. Oh, man. And she
well,
jumped.
we kind of were always waiting because they were like, well, we know she's not in episode 3, so every opportunity where we think she could have died, we were like, this is the episode. This is the one.
Yep. And that's what I said to her, and she jumped up all concerned. She was like, oh, my God. Oh no, not Ahsoka. Not Ahsoka. Yeah, you always thought that she was going to die somehow, right? All of them. You're like, Rex is going to die. Ahsoka is going to die. Everybody's going to die.
Well, they had so many things. You had Ahsoka going to the dark side, the Mortis trilogy. You had her getting shot on Onderon, you know, by the what do they call those flying droids?
Vulture droids.
No, the circular ones with the long snouts. Droid gunships, Elias is saying.
Oh yeah, they are droid gunships. That's what they are.
Yeah, when she got shot by that, there's so many times where you thought like that was the end of Ahsoka. Yeah.
Yeah, you just kept seeing it happen, and they would just tease it and tease it and tease it, and
forever.
Sure, I mean, they're still teasing.
They're still playing that gag.
Yeah, they're still playing that gag. I mean, Star Wars Celebration Europe is just around the corner, and you know, we don't necessarily do news on this show. We save that for our friends that do a great job on all the collecting sites around the. Around the globe, they all do a great job, but they were talking about how there's going to be a lot of talk about this Ahsoka book and all these different things that are going to kind of pave the path for the future of Ahsoka or the past of Ahsoka, or just cement her in the Star Wars universe a little bit more. So
that's a book I'm actually probably going to pick up.
Yeah, for sure. They're still doing it, That Dave guy, I'll tell you, he just keeps us hanging on.
Yeah.
So that's like, keep me hanging on. So they end up blowing up the separatist device, that Skynet, if you will, that's surrounding Iego. And there's that little radio again, and they're basically telling them, hey kid, you're all set. You're good to leave the planet. Everything's good. We got to get back to ours before they go and die. So they take their roots and they give them a cure. I don't know how they got it down there or whatever, but I'm sure they found a way. And this was another thing that I really liked about the Clone Wars. I'm showing an image of Anakin and Padme talking, and they touch hands briefly, and the Clone Wars cements their relationship a little bit more. It made it just a little bit more believable. You know.
Oh yeah, you got you got an insider point of view to what their problems as a couple, struggles that they had. Yeah, it wasn't all love and roses, that relationship.
Right. They knew they were going to have it tough, and this just made it a little bit more defined. You know, ironed the wrinkles out a little bit. And same thing with this image too. These two episodes, Blue Shadow Virus and Mystery of a Thousand Moons, they really took us back to Naboo, and we got to see a little bit more of Phantom Menace. And whenever I see Obi-Wan and Jar Jar or Anakin and Padme, and it just feels like the Phantom Menace a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
And so he's just saying, "Good job, Jar Jar. You're all good. We're gonna give you some gun lessons, some shooting lessons, because you almost killed Padme."
Yeah.
And Rex is like, "I'm not training.
I'm not teaching him. Yeah.
I am not teaching him." You know, Rex definitely thought he was an idiot. So, all right, and then we get to the end where it's like the G.I. Joe moment. You know, they basically. She said, "If it wasn't for your training, I probably wouldn't have failed." And he's like, I deserve all the credit, but not all of it. And she gets better. And that is the episode. They go and they fly away, and all is ready for the next episode. What is the next episode? That's a good question.
Storm over Ryloth.
Yeah, it's the Ryloth arc. We're getting down. We are getting down to the end of season 1, folks.
I know we have an arc and a conclusion.
Yeah.
Type of episode, but yeah.
Yeah, and we hope that you enjoyed that episode. We will continue to kind of give you a little bit more detail, recipes, tips and tricks, those types of things when it comes to customizing, and hopefully show more stuff. We definitely have a lot of things on the way that we want to share, different types of customs and whatnot, and I'm just totally looking forward to it. So that is our episode, and you can find me at Peak Obi-Wan Custom Creations and Clone Wars Custom Figures on Facebook. And where can we find you, sir?
Best place to get me is at www.customsforthekid.blogspot.com. From there, you can get links to Google+, Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Pinterest, Instagram, and anywhere else YouTube. But yeah, you can find me all the links are present on the blog itself. And yeah, have a good week until we see you again, and may the force be with you.
Take care.